This happened exactly 1 year ago. I wanted to scream it from the rooftops, but I kept my mouth shut for my daughter's sake until now. My wife and I were together for 9 years. Married for 6. We weren't perfect, but I thought we were solid. We had the kind of connection that made other people jealous, or so I believe. Late night takeout, stupid inside jokes, the kind of rhythm you build with someone when they know all your scars. After our daughter was born, things changed, of course they did, but I thought we were still a team. I was getting up at night, changing diapers, reading bedtime stories. Every weekend we went to the park, built sandcastles, played hide and seek. I documented every moment with photos on my phone. I thought I was a good father. Then I got laid off from my job at the law firm. 14 years of service. One 5-minute Zoom call. That was the beginning of the slide. The job market was brutal. I sent out resumes every day, went to networking events, even took on some freelance consulting work. But nothing stuck. The rejection emails piled up. The savings account got smaller. The stress started eating me alive. The stress hit fast and hard. I wasn't sleeping. My appetite vanished. My chest would tighten for no reason. It felt like someone was sitting on me while I tried to breathe through a paper bag. I had always prided myself on being strong. Rational. Controlled. But now I was breaking down at the smell of my daughter's shampoo because it reminded me of a court case where the kid didn't make it. A case from years ago that I thought I had processed and moved past. I would sit on the bathroom floor and shake. Sometimes cry. Sometimes I would just go completely numb and stare at the wall for an hour. I knew I needed help. I even told my wife about the panic attacks, about how my mind was betraying me. She said she understood, that she was proud of me for opening up, that we would get through this together. She was lying. In those moments when panic would wash over me like a wave, I learned to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe. 5, 6, 7, 8, 20. Breathe. It helped me regain control. My daughter would sometimes find me in this state and quietly sit beside me. She wasn't afraid. She would say softly, "All right, Daddy, I am here." I started noticing changes subtle at first. She would take our daughter out more often to give me space. She stopped asking me to do bedtime routines. She moved her pillow to the far end of the bed. She said it was because of my night sweats from the stress. One night, I had a panic attack bad enough to wake her. I couldn't breathe. My fingers were cramping. She just sat up and said, "You need to get it together. You are scaring the baby." Then she left the room. I found out later, she wasn't just walking out, she was walking to the guest room, where a camera was already recording my meltdown from a baby monitor app. I didn't know that every moment of my vulnerability was becoming evidence against me. Every time I whispered numbers to myself for comfort, every time I hugged my knees on the bathroom floor, every moment when I was just a human being going through a crisis was being recorded and saved. The conversations between us became shorter, colder, i.e. She would ask how the job search was going with this tone that suggested she already knew the answer would disappoint her. When I tried to talk about therapy or coping strategies, she would nod and change the subject. It happened on a Wednesday. I had just finished a therapy session over Zoom. I actually felt not good but clearer, more hopeful. My therapist had given me some new techniques for managing the anxiety. Then came the knock. 2 women, one in a blazer, the other holding a badge and a tablet. They were from Child Protective Services. They said they had received a report that I was displaying dangerous, erratic behavior in front of my daughter, that she was showing signs of trauma and fear. My stomach dropped so hard I almost vomited. What do you mean, who filed this? We cannot legally disclose that at this time. They didn't need to. I already knew. They showed me my address, my full name, even my daughter's social security number. Someone had given them very detailed information. Someone who knew our personal details intimately. The women were professional but cold. They had clipboards with forms and questions about my mental health history, my employment status, my relationship with my daughter. They asked about any incidents of violence or aggression. I told them there had never been any. They showed me clips, edited video of me curled in a ball whispering numbers to myself in the corner of our bedroom. One where I slammed a drawer in frustration, just the drawer, not at anyone, cut to my daughter flinching. It looked bad. It looked really bad. And without context, without audio, it looked like I was losing it in front of her daily. She submitted 12 files, the woman said, all under the same name, your wife. They asked me to step away from the home for 72 hours while they conducted a wellness check. I packed a bag while my daughter watched from the hallway, clutching a stuffed animal I bought her 2 years ago. Her eyes were so big. She didn't understand what was happening. She just knew Daddy was leaving. "Where are you going, Daddy?" "To Uncle's house for a few days, everything will be okay. Will you come back?" "Of course, sweetheart, of course." I kissed her forehead and walked out the door, not knowing when I would see her again. In my rearview mirror, I could see her face in the window, pressed against the glass. I moved into my brother's guest room. 3 nights of insomnia. I kept playing the videos over and over in my head, wondering where the cameras were. I knew I was being watched, but why did they feel so edited? On the 4th night, my brother handed me a box. "This was in your car, you probably forgot about it." It was my daughter's old iPad. We had used it to play lullabies when she was a toddler. I almost didn't turn it on. Then I saw it in an app called Daddy. It opened to video files, full-length ones, with audio.byte. The first one made my knees buckle. It was a full recording of the panic attack she had used in the CPS report, but this time, I could hear myself clearly saying, "It's okay, baby, I'm just breathing, daddy's okay." And I could hear my daughter say softly, "It's okay, daddy, I'm here." I watched 5 videos that night. Not just clips, entire raw recordings. One was from the hallway camera. It showed my daughter gently putting her hand on my back during a panic attack. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't violent. I was whispering to her that I would be okay. She nodded. Another showed me cooking dinner and forgetting to turn off the stove, then calmly fixing it 5 minutes later. In the CPS file, that clip had been cut after I walked away, making it look like I left an open flame unattended. There were timestamps, room angles, continuity. She didn't delete the originals. She didn't even know they existed. My daughter had saved them all in a folder named for when dad needs help. I found more videos. One where I was reading her a bedtime story, and she fell asleep on my lap. In the CPS report, there was only the part where I quietly got up, and she woke up looking startled. But in the full version, you could see me kiss her forehead and whisper, "Sleep tight, princess." Another video showed me helping her with homework at the kitchen table. We were laughing about something. In the edited version, submitted to CPS, it was just me looking frustrated, and her looking confused. But the full video showed the context. I was helping her with a difficult math problem, and we figured it out together. I called David, my friend from law school, and told him everything. He came over with his laptop within an hour, watched the full videos in complete silence. When the last one ended, he looked at me and said, "This is admissible, especially if we can prove she submitted altered versions to a government agency." Can we? If your daughter's iPad saved metadata, then yes, but we will need a digital forensics specialist. He leaned forward. "Do you want to fight?" I stared at him. "I want to burn everything she built." David explained to me that digitally manipulating evidence in a CPS case could lead to criminal charges. This wasn't just divorce or custody. This was potentially document fraud and perjury. We spent the next hour going through every video, every timestamp, every detail. David took notes and made copies of everything. He said we needed to move fast before anyone realized what we had found. David ran a full review of the CPS documents. It turns out my wife had filed the first complaint 6 months before my breakdowns even started, citing emotional instability and attachment issues. She claimed I was distant with our daughter. That I snapped at her. That I refused to attend parent-teacher meetings. I have emails confirming I attended everyone. I have photos from my phone with us at the park, at the library, building Lego castles together. She had planted the story, then waited for the symptoms to appear, then filmed them, then chopped the story into horror clips. But there was another detail. In the CPS documents, she claimed I had threatened her physically, said she feared for her safety. But I had never even had a verbal conflict with her. We didn't yell at each other. Even when I was at my worst, I would go to another room to deal with the panic privately. David found discrepancies in her timeline. Dates when she said incidents happened that I could prove I wasn't even home. Security footage from my brother's house showing I was there, helping him move on. A day she claimed I had a violent outburst. The biggest heartbreak came from a leather-bound notebook I found zipped inside the iPad case. My daughter had kept a journal. Most of it was innocent drawings of the 3 of us, notes about school, stories with unicorns and dragons. Then I found a page that said, "Mom said if I act scared when people come over, I will get more time with her." Below that, "I don't like pretending, but she gets mad when I don't." And next to it in shaky handwriting, "Don't tell Daddy, she says it will make him sadder." I sat on the floor for almost an hour, holding that notebook like it was a bomb. But there was another entry. A later one. "Mom says Daddy is sick and might hurt me. But Daddy never hurts me. He is always gentle. I don't understand why Mom says this." There were more entries. "Daddy teaches me to count when I am scared. 1, 2, 3, 4, breathe. He says, that is how we control our feelings. I like counting with Daddy." Another one, "I recorded Daddy reading to me on the iPad, so I can watch it when Mom says Daddy might not come back." My 6-year-old daughter had been documenting the truth while her mother was fabricating lies. David connected me with a digital forensics expert named Clara. She ran an integrity scan on the iPad videos. Her report was 47 pages long. Summary: the iPad recorded all videos in uninterrupted native format. The files were date-stamped and location verified. The clips submitted by my wife to CPS were exported and modified with basic editing software. Metadata inconsistencies showed they were altered after the iPad originals existed. Clara wrote one line in bold at the end: "These edited clips intentionally misrepresent context and chronology. This constitutes digital evidence tampering." David stared at it and smiled. "We are not just defending you, we are going to dismantle her case." Clara also found that some videos were recorded on days when my wife claimed I wasn't home. The metadata showed exact times and locations. This proved she was lying about even basic fact. She found evidence of multiple editing sessions where my wife had experimented with different cuts and audio levels to make situations look worse than they were. David filed an emergency motion for evidentiary hearing with our family court judge. We included the raw iPad videos, Clara's forensic report, my daughter's journal, and a sworn affidavit explaining how the videos were obtained. Within 72 hours, we had a hearing scheduled. I wasn't allowed to see my daughter, yet the original CPS restrictions were still in place. But the judge ordered my wife to appear in court. She showed up in a white blouse and soft makeup, flanked by her lawyer. I sat across from her in the courtroom. She smiled at me. That smile vanished the moment Clara connected her laptop to the projector. The judge was an older woman who had been on the family court bench for 20 years. She had seen every kind of custody manipulation, but I could tell from her expression that this case was different. The courtroom was small, maybe 10 seats behind the bar, but it felt like a stadium the moment Clara opened the first video. A wide-angle shot from the hallway monitor. Me crouched by the door, clearly mid-panic attack, whispering, "It's okay. I'm okay." My daughter came into frame. She put her hand on my shoulder and said, "I'm not scared. I'll wait with you, Daddy." Silence. Even the judge leaned forward slightly. Clara clicked. The next video loaded. Same moment, but crop. No sound. Just me, rocking back and forth. This, Clara said, is what was submitted to Child Protective Services. The sound in the courtroom was like an exhale. People understood what was happening. You could hear someone in the gallery whisper, "Oh my God." The court reporter stopped typing for a moment. Even the bailiff looked shocked. My wife's lawyer objected. Dee claimed the videos might be fabricated. Clara pulled up metadata logs. Compared file hashes. Showed timestamped uploads straight from the iPad's internal memory. She even displayed the original Apple verification signature. "Can you confirm?" the judge asked, "that the CPS videos were intentionally edited from these original?" Clara didn't blink. "Yes. That's not just my opinion, it's forensic fact." The judge turned to my wife. Her posture changed instantly. Her confident chin tilted downward. Hands gripped the table. No more soft smile. Just calculation spiraling into panic. Her lawyer asked for a recess. He was whispering something in her ear, but I could see her shaking her head. She realized the game was over. I watched her face as each piece of evidence was presented. The confidence melting away, replaced by the look of someone who had been caught in a lie so elaborate that there was no way out. David stood. He held up the journal. "I would like to read one page into the record, Your Honor." Objection. Overruled. He read the entry with the line about pretending to be scared. The one where my daughter said she says it will make him sadder. Then he flipped to the page with the drawing. A stick figure with glasses, me kneeling next to a small girl, her both surrounded by hearts. Above them the words, "This is when I feel safe." The courtroom stayed silent for a long time. The judge wrote something down. Then David read another entry. "Daddy teaches me to count when I am scared. 1, 2, 3, 4, breathe. He says that is how we control our feelings. I like counting with Daddy." My wife started crying. Not the pretty kind of crying you do for sympathy. The ugly kind when you realize you have destroyed everything good in your life. She was asked to respond. My wife stood, hands shaking. Her voice cracked 3 words in. I never wanted to hurt anyone. She said the videos were meant to protect our daughter, that I was deteriorating, and she panicked. But when asked about the editing, about why she cut out full audio, why she submitted versions showing me only in distress, she folded. I thought they would listen if it looked worse, she admitted. I didn't know he would fight back like this. The judge asked her, "Did you encourage your child to perform or lie on your behalf?" She didn't answer. She just sat down. But David wasn't finished. He showed the timestamps of the videos and a calendar, Your Honor. The respondent began recording the petitioner months before any documented panic attacks. This was not a mother trying to protect her child. This was someone building a case against her child's father. The judge ruled from the bench. All previous visitation restrictions against Mr. Reynolds are lifted effective immediately. Temporary joint custody is restored pending full evaluation. This court finds evidence of intentional digital manipulation with the goal of misleading government investigators. I am referring this to the district attorney's office for review. I didn't move. My lawyer whispered, "You won." But it didn't feel like a win yet. I wanted to see my daughter. That's when the judge said, "You may pick her up from school today. Mr. Reynolds' supervised exchange is no longer required." The judge also ordered an immediate psychological evaluation for my wife and temporary restriction of her contact with our daughter pending completion of the investigation. She also ordered CPS to conduct a full review of their handling of the case and the social worker who had accepted the edited videos without proper verification. I waited outside the school gates like I used to, early anxious heartbeat way too loud. She came out with her backpack, saw me, and froze. No fear, no flinch, just surprise. Then her mouth opened. "Daddy." She ran so fast her backpack slipped off. I caught her mid-jump, arms wrapped around my neck, legs clamped around my waist. "I missed you every day," she whispered. "I know, sweetheart, I know." She pulled back slightly and said something I will never forget. "Did you get my folder, the one with the videos?" I nodded, trying not to cry. "You saved me," I said. "No," she smiled. "You saved me first." We drove home in comfortable silence. She held my hand. At one point, she said, "Daddy, Mom told me you might hurt me, but I knew that wasn't true. You never hurt me." "I know, baby, and I never will." 2 weeks after the hearing, I got a call from the district attorney's office. They wanted copies of Clara's forensic report and the raw iPad files. My wife wasn't arrested, but she was under investigation for evidence, tampering, filing false reports, and parental coercion. She hired a criminal defense attorney, deleted her social media, stopped answering texts from the neighbors. She told people I had manipulated the court, but people had seen the footage, the journal, the truth. The more she tried to deny it, the more alone she looked. CPS also opened an internal investigation into how they had handled the case. It turned out the social worker assigned to our case had not followed protocol for verifying submitted evidence. The local news picked up the story, not with our names, but as a cautionary tale about digital evidence and false accusations. Child advocacy groups started using our case as an example of why verification procedures needed to be strengthened. My daughter handed me a folded piece of paper one night while I was making dinner. "Don't open it until after bedtime," she said. I waited. "Read it alone." Inside were just a few sentences written in pencil. "I am sorry I didn't tell you. Sooner I thought it would make you more sad. I tried to be brave. Like you always say. Truth wins. You were right. I love you more than scary days." I still carry that paper in my wallet. It has been bent 100 times. I will never throw it away. At the bottom, she had drawn a little heart and written for Daddy who never gives up. We started a new tradition every Sunday where we record happy memories from the week on my phone. Just in case, she said, "Now, we have happy videos, Daddy." Our house feels different now. Not because of furniture or light or space, but because I no longer live inside a lie. Bedtime stories feel warmer. Breakfast tastes better. Silence isn't sharp anymore. We got a dog, something my daughter always begged for, but her mom never allowed. She named him Pixel. Every weekend we do what we call Dad-Daughter Defense Nights Pizza Movie, and we each say one truth we are proud of from the week. She always says something simple like I told the truth about getting a B. I always say the same thing, I didn't give up. We also started therapy together. Not because there was anything wrong, but because I wanted her to have tools for processing what had happened. The therapist helped her understand that what her mother did was not her fault, and that loving both parents, even when one makes bad choices, is okay. My daughter asks questions sometimes about why mommy lied about the videos. I tell her that sometimes people get scared and make bad choices, but that doesn't mean they don't love us. My wife pled out. She admitted to misleading the investigation and was sentenced to 18 months of probation, court-mandated therapy, and supervised visits only for 6 months. She didn't lose all parental rights, but the court placed her under parental observation status, meaning any further manipulation would result in termination of custody. She cried in court, said she was broken, said she panicked. I didn't speak. I didn't have to. Truth had already spoken for me. Later, I learned that she had told her family a completely different story about what happened. She claimed I had somehow faked the iPad videos and manipulated the court system. Some of them believed her. Others didn't. Her sister reached out to me, months later, to apologize. She said she had always known something was off about my wife's version of events, but hadn't wanted to get involved. She wished she had spoken up sooner. I am not the same man who broke down on the bathroom floor whispering numbers to survive a panic attack. I still go to therapy, still check in with myself every day, still flinch at loud noises sometimes. But now I have my daughter's drawings taped to the fridge. I have her laughter filling the hallway. I have peace. And she has her father back, the real one. Not the villain someone tried to script. The man who got knocked down and stood up anyway. Not for revenge. For her. I found a new job. Not at a law firm, but at a nonprofit that helps families navigate the legal system. Ironic maybe, but it feels right. I use my experience to help other parents who are facing false accusations. The panic attack still comes sometimes, but I have better tools now. And I have my daughter who will sit next to me and count with me when I need it. Chapter 24. The story she will one day know. She doesn't know the full story yet. Not all of it. One day, she will. One day I will sit her down and say, "You saved everything when you saved that iPad." And I will tell her that sometimes the people closest to us break the worst. That fear makes monsters of ordinary people, but truth makes survivors out of broken ones. That she's the reason I kept breathing. And then I will say, "Your mom tried to erase me with a video, but you gave me back my voice, and I used it to protect you." I keep copies of all the evidence locked away in a safe deposit box. Not because I expect trouble, but because I learned that truth needs to be preserved and protected. My daughter still asks about her mother sometimes. We have supervised visits now, and they go okay. My wife is in therapy and seems to be getting help. I hope she finds peace. But I also hope she understands that what she did could have destroyed not just me, but our daughter too. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it takes years to rebuild. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if my daughter hadn't saved those videos. If Clara hadn't been so thorough. If David hadn't believed me. I try not to think about it. Instead, I focus on the sound of my daughter laughing. The feeling of her hand in mine. The way she says, "I love you, Daddy, like it," is the most natural thing in the world. Because that is the only truth that matters now. The rest is just evidence of how strong love can be when it fights for what is right.